My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Hellboy 2 The Golden Army. And this review will have spoilers, so there's your warning. But I like the first Hellboy. I like the characters, I like the vision on display, I like how weird it can be, but the villains are generic. Hellboy as a character had no real depth. The human main character was a terrible decision, and there's not enough plot for a movie of its runtime. So, this sequel does what any proper sequel should do, and it doubles down on everything that worked and it fixed each and every issue. Like, this is how you make a sequel. This movie is one of the best sequels ever made, and it's one of the best comic book movies ever made. I love it. So let's begin by talking about the cast. And Ron Perlman is fantastic here. He brings so much personality to this character, and he's just filled with charisma, and despite his attitude, he's just so likable. But he also brings emotional weight when needed, and I was really impressed. Selma Blair has more to do in this movie, and I thought she sold you on every emotion she needed to. She does really great work here, and Doug Jones has much more to do. I thought he was excellent. Jeffrey Tambor has more to do, and I thought he was a very funny, likable presence. Seth MacFarlane plays a new character, Johan, and I thought he did a really great job. It's not a typical Seth MacFarlane character, but he impressed me. And Luke Goss as the villain is fantastic. He is menacing, and he represents so many of the ideas present in this movie, and I just thought he was a very compelling villain, and Anna Wharton does a really good job as well. So the entire cast has more to do, and they rise to the occasion. They do fantastic here. But you know who else is given more to do and knocks it out of the park? The director, Guillermo del Toro. Like, his work here is Oscar worthy. I love how he doubles down on the weirdness, and there is so much going on in this movie, and he just brings it to life so perfectly. The production design and the makeup here is phenomenal. I love how he begins this movie with a really unique animated sequence, and the CGI looks better here, and the world building is just so filled with creativity and originality. Like, you've got this giant plant monster that when it bleeds, his blood becomes like a garden, and I loved that. There's this monster with this robot hand that's attached to a chain that I really dug. The movie begins with these tooth fairies that eat people, and I thought that sequence was just gross and tense in the best way possible. And the Angel of Death is such a cool fucking design. Like, I love Pan's Labyrinth, and it's like the Pale Man, but different. You can see the same talent on display, but it still looks and feels like its own creature. So I love that. And like, You can just tell that this movie was made by a talented man with a vision. And I loved what he brought to this movie. I really do. Um, and I also love just some of the weird ideas on display as well. You know, like the fact that these twins are connected. So whatever you do to one of them, you do to the other. That makes for some nice conflict and some nice sacrifice later on. I like the story of this crown that controls the Golden Army, and the crown gets destroyed into three different pieces, and how the Golden Army, if destroyed, can just rebuild itself. So I love all that, and the story and character work are just so much better here. They really are. Like, Hellboy is destined to destroy the planet. This movie actually leans into that idea. And we see how he wants to be known by the public, and when it eventually happens, they reject him. They hate him. There is a scene where he saves a baby, and the mom is just so ungrateful, and everybody takes one look at him and is just like, oh, who's that freak? And there is some real emotion there. And how the villain kind of represents that idea that these creatures, these beings are above humanity, and there will never be peace between them. And then we also see how Liz is the one person that is keeping him good. And I also love how Liz knows Hellboy's destiny and what he's going to do, and she still decides to save him at the end. And it's like, you know, this pain is going to get so much worse. You know that this is going to go wrong. But you just have to see it through. And because of that, these characters and their relationship had more depth, more emotion, and more meaning in this movie. And I love the whole plot that Liz is pregnant and Hellboy is ready to become a father to one baby at the end of the movie, and Liz is just like, babies. It's such a great feel-good ending. It really is. I also love how we see Abe fall in love with Princess Nuala, and how he too is willing to sacrifice everything to save her. And this movie is just about how love can make us selfish, and how we crave acceptance. We crave to be understood. And it's also about who we prioritize in life, whether it's our small group of friends or human race as a generalization. And it's also about the difference between objective thinking, like thinking with your head, and subjective thinking, thinking with your heart. And these ideas are just present for so much of this movie, and it manages to be a lot more emotional and meaningful than other superhero movies. And yeah, like, I just think it's a really smartly written movie. I like the music by Danny Elfman. I love the cinematography as well. I like the conflict between Hellboy and Johann. I think that makes for some good entertainment. And the action in this movie is really good. Like, the prince, he is a complete badass, and it makes for some great scenes. And I also love that one moment where Hellboy and Abe are getting drunk, and then they get under attack, and now they have to fight. Like, I don't know. I can't think of any other superhero movie besides maybe Iron Man 2 where that happened. So, just a nice little moment. But yeah, this movie is just phenomenal. I think this script is a huge improvement, giving these characters and their relationships more depth, more meaning. There's more emotion here, but it also doubles, scratch that, triples down on the weirdness and creativity, and Guillermo del Toro just brings it to life to perfection. I love the look of this movie. It is just made by a master, and I love the practical effects. I love just so much of what this movie has to offer. The cast all does a great job, and above all else, it's a very entertaining and easy watch. With great pacing, the movie just flies by. So I'm giving Hellboy 2: The Golden Army a 9 out of 10. And it will forever bum me out that we will never get a third movie here. They set it up so perfectly, and I've read the ideas, and it could have been a truly amazing movie. And if you want to know who to blame Universal Pictures, because people forget about this, but this movie came out on July 11th, 2008. 1 week before The Dark Knight. Who thought that was a good idea? And what pisses me off is that if you read the box office numbers, this movie opened really well. It opened over 10 million above the original at $35.9 million. This could have been a hit. But then the next weekend, when The Dark Knight came out, it dropped 71% to 10.1 million. And the movie finished domestically at 75 million. It made almost 50% of its final domestic gross in its opening weekend. Universal butchered this release, and it's their fault. But anyways, Hellboy 2: The Golden Army. Have you seen it? What did you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon. And Gavin out.